Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Ashes of Creation development live stream for May. It's already May. Crazy. How are you both doing today? Oh, sorry. How are you both doing today? Sweet, sweet. I forgot to hold down my push to talk. I'm used to streaming without having to like hold a mouse down. Um, yeah, we've been up to a lot of amazing things, but today, of course, we always have our studio update from Steven. We're going to be doing a little design update. We've got some video footage for you as well. We will be talking about housing because I know people have been asking about that. We also have our character update, and we will also have our environment update. One second. It looks like the audio. Can you talk for me again?
Hello.
Testing,
There we go.
testing.
Yeah.
Are we good? It's secret?
Yeah, it's because the boys didn't hop into the channel before, so I didn't get to test
Hey,
things.
we have work to do.
Um, they have
My
been
USB
busy.
ports died.
It's okay. It's okay. There we go. Yeah, we got them. So
I feel
yeah,
like we should do a dance.
we'll be doing all of that stuff. We'll be talking about character art as well as environment art, and we'll be answering some of your questions that you all submitted. We have quite a few, so we'll try to get through all of those, as well as if you have any questions for us in chat, you can toss them our way. You may see dogs, hear children, hear cats. Again, we are working from home still, so that is a thing. But yeah, we'll try to work around
Yeah.
it.
Sorry about that. Literally 5 minutes before the stream was supposed to start, my USB ports died. So I was like scrambling to get it fixed.
It's okay. We got it working. It's fine. People understand we're working from home, so we're doing our best to get everything good to go. Um, but yeah, so for quick updates, we do have some things that we do want to chat with you all about. We do have a new dev discussion coming up in June, and we really appreciate everyone's feedback on the May one. We've already compiled that and sent it over to the design team. They've been enjoying reading over those. Again, our monthly cosmetic swap over has been extended. We've kept that going. I think that was our March one since the COVID stuff started. We won't have a date exactly for when it will return, but we will notify you all in advance whenever we do have the next swap over. We just feel like it's not a fair thing for you all to have to worry about, like missing out on cosmetics whenever there's a lot of stuff going around, and we completely understand. There's a lot of people who, aren't as fortunate who can't work right now and things of that sort. We also have a little bit of an announcement. We'll be posting this after the live stream as well on our social platforms, but because you're here, you get a little bit of a little bonus announcement. We will have a stream. We're going to have a bonus stream tomorrow for 1 hour. It will start Saturday, May 30th, 2020 at 1 p.m. PDT, going till 2 p.m. PDT. We'll have some time conversions on the forums and stuff like that. I know Toast and Danielle will be working on that for y'all.
Yeah, we just wanted to kind of I think show off a little bit of what our test session yesterday involved. As probably a lot of you know, we did have our first external play test with our Phoenix initiates, and it went very well actually.
Much better than I expected, honestly.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, I don't know, Jeff, if you were on at the time, but I summoned everyone to that.
The dragon fight?
Yeah, the dragon. They were trying to do the dragon at like level 2.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
And I was like broadcasting to them, this isn't going to end well, probably not the best idea, but they went at it and accrued a significant amount of experience debt, which impacted them later. But it was fun to see and watch. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean the servers held up. It was solid.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We got a ton of information from it, and um, as our community has always been very helpful in testing periods. There's been a great amount of bug write-ups and analysis of the playtest session. We have our logs that we've been pouring through and analyzing further up.
Yeah, and we'll actually talk a bit more about that in the design section too. I'll give Jeff,
Oh, good.
time to talk about all the PI stuff that the both of you are willing to talk about as well in detail. Yeah, yeah.
I'll share my time with you, Stephen.
Thank
Yeah.
you,
No,
Jeff.
I said you and
I'm
I
just
said you
kidding.
and Steven. But yeah, we've been enjoying it. Like the feedback that we've gotten has been amazing, and I think everyone's very, very happy. The office has been, like the morale goes up whenever we have people who are very happy in the community. So it's been exciting showing everything, and I think being able to showcase a lot of the stuff that we've been working on in a way that you all like to see has been very nice. Because it's kind of what y'all have been waiting for. But games take time. So thank you for your patience. For those of you who have been patient. For the others, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so let's move on to our studio update, and then we'll get right into all the other goodies. So first and foremost, Stephen, if you want to talk a little bit about the office and things of that
Yeah,
sort.
absolutely. Had some new people join the team. It's been an interesting process for them during this work from home period. I am keeping a very close eye, and the production team's keeping a close eye on the progression of this working from home situation and back into
Yeah, when will
eventually.
that be, Stephen?
I have no idea, but we are keeping a close eye on it. The team's been doing an amazing job. I've told them this over the past couple of weeks now that a lot of stuff's been coming together. It's just been very impressive. I mean, I think you know we're obviously it's always a fun time when we get to share the progress that's been made on the project with the community, and especially when we have live testers in preparation for Alpha 1 coming in the future. Having these types of kind of QA tests, these stress tests, is very rewarding, I think, for the team. And I know they've been loving watching the feedback and the commentary, and um, it's been a pretty interesting past couple of weeks. But it was great to see the testers yesterday, and we're still moving forward in our hiring phase and advertising for those positions. So if you know people, feel free to spread the word. And
Yeah. We actually had one person when it was their first day, just like the whole chat is just spamming because we have a chat that we all chat in, and we were like welcoming them. They're like, "This is the strangest welcome, but also very homely." uh, it's like a weird thing to experience, I'm certain. But yeah,
yeah,
we've
but things are
been
things are going well.
yeah. Beyond that, talking about, COVID and the fact that we are working from home, we did tell you all that we would be giving a statue away. So I'll pop that up on screen and Stephen can talk a little bit
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
absolutely. So I know that we had mentioned in our, I think it was the creative director's letter,
Correct.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I'd mentioned there that I wanted to commission an in-game decor item, a statue, to kind of, I think, commemorate the experiences that many of us in real life have had to kind of go through during this period of time, and it's very difficult, not just from a isolation slash being at home standpoint, but also more importantly, people who have been having to deal with the impact on their daily lives, the loss of loved ones. I mean, it's a very difficult thing, and as a human race, we're all going through it together. So, from a small gaming perspective standpoint, I think that I had Ryan Richmond, who's our lead concept artist, go ahead and just kind of freestyle this creation of this in-home decor item. So this will sit on a table or a mantle, wherever you want to place it, and really it has some symbology. I think Ryan's goal here was to kind of commemorate the struggle and help that we as individuals experience, and that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, or a friend who has your back. So here you see the one of the figures kind of helping up the other, and it kind of symbolizes, I think, the the struggle that the different civilizations in Vera experienced, both during the time of the apocalypse and also the return, and having that divine gateway symbolize the connection across across any distance that we have with one another. So I think it's a pretty cool statue.
It's super cool.
It's beautiful. I love the symbolism for it, and I love just how it turned out. I want it to be like a thing that I can have on my desk at work. So maybe someday that would be cool, right? Um, yeah, that is beautiful, and of course, we hope that you all like it.
Oh, and to clarify, I don't know if we mentioned, but that is a commemorative statue that will be granted to all registered users.
Yeah, I think we had in the creative director's letter, it said for during the portion of the pandemic. So we'll definitely let you know when that cutoff date is. That will probably be when we're back in the office, but we'll let you all know whenever we are returning back to the office, and also announcing that date as well. We try our best to keep you as informed as we can when we have those dates, but we are at the whim of the government at the moment, and Stephen.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what we got for that. Let's move on to our design stuff, unless you had anything else you wanted to bring up, Stephen.
No, I know that we announced. I don't know if I chimed in on it, but yeah, tomorrow the 1 hour gameplay session at 1 p.m. Pacific time. We're just gonna run around. Might have a few of the devs with me in a group, kind of playing and just going through some systems and showing off some stuff, just to give you guys a look at what some of the testers are experiencing. So I know
Yay, I
everybody
love
wants to see
playing.
that.
It's so fun. I also love whenever Steven does his like RP stuff. It cracks me up, so I'm into it. I'm here for
Hey,
it.
what do you mean cracks you up? That's some real
No,
RP
it's
stuff.
awesome. I was telling the PI folks that if you all have watched some of our past videos, like the Raptor one where we're like attacking the town, whenever there's like the two groups, Stephen like did like this epic speech to kind of like get everyone to go in. Like the whole office is listening, and he's got like this microphone, like one of those, like, what are those things called? The megaphone.
Bullhorn.
Yeah. It was
I RP through the bullhorn.
yeah, it's good times though. I think, we work at a game studio. I like seeing that, I've worked at a lot of different companies, so it's been nice to see, people having a good time. So yeah, let's move on to our design.
Hi guys.
So design,
Hello.
you have had the PI play test already. We kind of already let people know that had happened. We lifted the text and voice NDA on that, so those who are in PI are able to talk about the test. They just cannot show any visual content, so no.
By the way,
footage.
I'd like to give a shout out on the Reddit. Our community favorite Shays went ahead and did a very thorough write-up of his experience in yesterday's playtest. So if you guys haven't had an opportunity to go take a look at that, I'll give a little shout out here. Go to the Ashes of Creation subreddit. There's a thread there created by Shays, and it's a Google Doc that has I would say a fairly thorough write-up of the Alpha 1 preview experience that he did. So well done, Shays.
Yeah, and Ash's post does a lot of great stuff in general, like always keeping people up to date. So, if you want to check it out, we do a lot of Fan Fridays, and we spotlight them as well as a lot of other people in our community who do a great job of, keeping people informed about what we're working on. If you don't have time to listen to a long live stream. But we also have a newsletter, so sign up for our newsletter because we do kind of put things into a more concise format for you that way as well. So design, how are you doing, Jab? Has it been exciting?
Good.
Getting feedback on all
It
of this?
has been great actually to see everybody kind of, because when you're working up to an event like this, a milestone like this, where people are actually going to be playing it live and without any rails on, and everything's kind of exposed and raw, like it's scary, right? Like that's your baby, and you've been working on it for a long time, putting out all the blood and sweat and tears into it.
Speaking of baby in the background, it was perfect timing.
That's my daughter. She's playing with a castle.
Aww.
She's watching the drawbridge go down right now. It's pretty cool.
She's getting ready for castle sieges.
Yeah, that's where
training them young. No, just kidding.
We start them young. So it's nerve-wracking leading up to something like that, but it went really well. A lot of stuff that I was worried about happening didn't happen. A lot of stuff that I didn't know was going to happen happened. Plenty of bugs, plenty of issues, but I think overall the experience was really good, and the things that needed to hold up held up. So it felt really good. I think the entire team is super stoked to see, what the results were and get the feedback that we got. There were some really great exploits that people found, infinite money, all sorts of things like that. So it was a good time.
Yeah, and we'll be compiling. Toast is probably doing that right now as she's watching, compiling all the feedback, and we'll be doing even more over the weekend. We're giving people until Monday to put in their feedback, and we'll be kind of forwarding that along to the design team as well as the rest of the development team, so they can work on all the things and fix things, and then we'll do more tests. And when we're at a state where we're ready to start opening it up to some of those other groups, we'll start doing that. So yeah. Stephen, do you want to add anything else on the PI playtest front?
Oh, is this that section?
I'm sharing my time with you, Stephen.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I think you guys will get a good look tomorrow during the stream. Kind of, I might do a spot test with PI2 that time, but we'll see. Yeah, it was a good experience. There was definitely obviously a lot of bugs. It's very early, access to that. But it was definitely rewarding to see everybody running around and having fun. So.
Yeah. All right. And then kind of moving into things, we're going to talk a little bit about Alpha 1, but we have a video that we want to showcase first. Do we want to do that first and then go talk about housing? Okay,
Yeah.
So I'm going to play the video full screen with just the audio from the video, and then we'll have it kind of looping in the background while we talk about it, if that sounds good to you all.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. So we'll be back in a moment after you watch this little video. All right, so we'll kind of have that video looping a bit for you all in the background while we talk about it. I know Stephen has a lot. I like the comments about the painting. People are laughing about it. You want to walk us through a little bit of that?
So, this video is kind of intended to give you just a very, very early look at some of the, freehold layouts and kind of expectations on just general size, I think, of these freeholds as well, to kind of show you, the room. From a design perspective, Jeff and I have always kind of considered, I think, this to be a little bit of a size micromanagement game with the freehold layout, right? To kind of, I can't think this morning, but to kind of, to kind of, focus on what your layout is going to be, because that determines kind of your capabilities from a processing standpoint, and really utilizing that space on the artisanship side for processing perspective of materials and gatherables. So there's a few gems that you kind of can see in this layout. I mean, obviously there's a house. And inside the house, the player has the ability to place down this furniture, to put up paintings. A while ago, I kind of changed my mind on whether or not we would allow players to implement custom images, and we will be allowing that. So you can see, there's my image on that painting, or the sandals that are part of the in the bedroom. These are kind of capabilities that we want to provide the players from a customization standpoint, so that they can really make, their their little piece of the world theirs, and reflect themselves should they choose to blend real life with the role play one. Additionally, as you're kind of watching this, you're going to see different components of the freehold itself. You see a very early husbandry stablery area, where there's a couple of horses kind of hanging out there, a few a few stable buildings behind that little grazing area. I mean, that's an example kind of first tier stage of the husbandry system, where players will be able to kind of place the animals that they're trying to focus on from a husbandry perspective within the stable area, and then over a course of time, are going to be able to yield some type of results out of those pairings, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then you also see a small area of farmland where some crops are being grown. Crops are intended in ashes to be a rotational system, that obviously is dependent on having the appropriate seedlings and or any of the necessary tools for that farming perspective. And obviously you can devote more land to the farming components of the freehold. You also see there a small pond, which is actually another type of farmable area that we're going to have available on the freehold system, which is essentially a fishery, so to speak. So, fish play an important role from a raw gatherable standpoint, but also, again, because a lot of the components of the freehold system are intended to be processing of raw materials, the fishery allows for a focus on specific type of fish gatherables that may only be gathered through the fishery blueprint. And then you also see a little bit of a social area. I think there's a little bit of like a fireplace or something that's over there. The intent here on the freehold and housing in general, again, is to provide a lot of customization. There is going to be a furniture type profession as well, where furniture isn't just necessarily there for looks, but also may contain certain bonuses if used, on some rotational period as well. And having the higher bonuses per se might be related to the efficiency in the profession of the furniture making that is had. So you can see, there's a lot of props that are kind of placed around the freehold, and this is going to be kind of a grid-based system most likely. That's what we're leaning towards now, which will allow a lot of versatility in the placement of these things. You also see some storage chests in the houses and stuff. But yeah, Jeff, you have any comments?
Oh, just trying to say that like pretty much everything you see on the freehold is functional, right? That's kind of the whole goal of the freehold system, is to give everything a purpose, and not just have it be like, oh, this is my pretty design, but like it's a design towards something for your character, towards something for the world. So that's the goal, and that's kind of what you're seeing here.
Yeah, and this video was put together by our resident Tristan, who is an awesome, um, amazing filmmaker, not just in Ashes, but also in real life too. So,
Yeah.
well done, Tristan.
Um, you might have seen some whales that he's captured footage
Oh
of.
yeah, he grabbed footage of the. Yeah, I don't know if many of you guys know this, but we have this like weird algae event happening in Southern California where the motion of the ocean triggers these
The bioluminescence, the blue.
triggers yeah, exactly, the bioluminescence in the algae. And Tristan grabbed this time lapse period. I thought was pretty cool on his
That looks really
YouTube.
cool.
So we've talked about animal husbandry a bit, but there was a question in chat regarding like how free will it be? Like what kind of creatures will they be able to like conform into strange
The
abominations?
husbandry. So
Yeah.
so the idea behind the husbandry is like, just I think from a back end, perspective, to give you guys an idea, each of these animals have, unique ID, right? And there's going to be essentially this husbandry chart that takes into account potential combinations between animals that you have. So there's going to be a little bit of obviously trial and error as players begin to explore this genetic, system to determine what yields are possible. And those yields are obviously going to have an element of RNG to them as well. So, you may pick up on a more dominant genetic trait within the pairing, or you may have a much smaller chance to unlock a specific breed of species, right? And then those chances obviously get augmented by your advancement within the animal husbandry profession. So, a person who's more experienced in pairing of certain animals and even the specific types of pairings will increase their likelihood, their RNG chances of essentially birthing a unique mount and being able then to sell those on an open auction. They can also be applied as certificates towards the construction of particular caravans as well. So I know we've talked about that in the past a little bit.
Yeah, and of course, there will be some linearness to it in the sense of what you all allow as design allows in that regard. But um, moving on from here, let's talk a little bit about Alpha 1 and the progress that y'all are making towards that. Obviously, we talked a little bit about the PI test, but I wanted to kind of open it up to allow you to talk about anything else you want to talk about, Jeff and Stephen.
We still got a long way to go.
Yeah, we do have a long way to go.
But yeah, I mean, this is like an important first step on that way. So like, this is definitely not Alpha 1. What we're talking about right now, it's a step on the way there. We basically got a lot of the foundational stuff in, and then we'll just continue to work on expanding that until we get to a point where everything is stable enough and solid enough, and there's examples of not just like a few of the systems, but most of the systems before we're going to be ready for that. So just to set expectations, this is a very important first step, though.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add to that, Stephen?
No, I would say, I think that, and I express this to PI, like tempering expectations, understanding that there are a lot of first steps necessary before we reach the ultimate, milestone goal, which is releasing Alpha 1. But, each step we take is a very important part of that journey and allows us to, iterate and fix things as we implement new designs and systems.
Yeah, we appreciate everyone working through the bugs and playing and reporting those things for us. So it will be only more exciting when we get to open it up to even more players. So moving on, we're going to move over to our character update. So our first asset here is a junior caravan, and I'll let Stephen talk a bit about that.
Yeah, I think this was also was this a cosmetic caravan? Yeah, this was, right?
Not sure if this is one of the
I think
cosmetic
it was
ones.
pulled by like yaks or something.
Oh.
But something that looked like yaks.
It's probably a previous one because it's not one that I designed.
Yeah. So this is a junior caravan, and obviously, there's going to be a lot of different, caravan designs that are out there, and part of we've talked a little bit in the past about how caravans kind of get made. This particular caravan is obviously a skin, so from a caravan perspective, mechanically, players are going to be responsible for providing certain component upgrades when they construct or commission the caravan. So players will be able to add specific types of wheels and axles and armor and maneuverability, the speed of the caravan, the hit point values, the damage mitigation, all of those things kind of get componentized where players have the ability to craft unique upgrades and adjust the stats of the caravan that way. But this particular one obviously is a junior caravan, and I think reflects a little bit of their cultural designs. They're definitely more sturdy, more robust from a junior perspective.
Yeah, they kind of got that more boxy vibe to it. I do love the little, like if you look at the little details of the gold plating kind of stuff that's happening, it's very, very pretty.
Yeah. And this
that's
one was
a full-size door, by the way.
Right.
You don't have to crouch if you're an elf.
This particular model was, if I recall correctly, it might have been a while ago, I think it was concepted by Ryan Richmond, and this model here was modeled by Carson Steele. So Carson did a great job, I think, on
Yeah, I keep
creating this
forgetting that
guy.
it's actually the concept piece.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they've been doing amazing jobs on all of these assets. Whenever we look at them, we're like, it almost looks like the concept pieces sometimes. It's crazy. But yeah, it's looking awesome. We have some more caravan stuff down the line in the environment update as well. But I know design has been working very hard on a lot of the caravan stuff as well, fixing some of the issues. We have some very
There's
funny bugs. Maybe we'll do some outtakes when we're launched. Just, a throwback to the old days when we spawn hundreds
I
of
like
caravans in one spot and they
I
just all
like
shaking.
somebody said, how do you turn this thing? Because the wheels can't move. But there's a magical device that rests under the caravan itself. It's kind of a rotational a stone, they call it, right? And the rider has the ability to augment that rotation magically, so the wheels don't actually have to make a turn.
the rotational stone,
Yeah,
as
we
they
call it the
call it.
rotational stone.
It just it like lifts and then turns like it's super extra. Oh gosh, that's great. All right, well, we're gonna move on to some of our armor and shield work. You might have seen some of these pieces, and I know we show some of them, but we're kind of showing you the progress of things, and all the work that our team has been working on. So this first one, I know Stephen, you were kind of chatting with the dev team specifically about armor for females, and I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that and the body shape and stuff like that when it comes to like the plating armor.
Oh, um, yeah. So, right now, from our um, from the character's perspective on this armor, right? Um, we want to be realistic with the application of particular types of armor, such as plate armor, in this regard for the different sexes, and there's a fine line that has to be drawn, I think, between accentuating the form of the sex, as well as making it somewhat realistic and actually applicable to the environment that they're experiencing. So we had some iteration on that. A lot of it had to do, I think, with the stance of the character itself from an animation standpoint. But also, I mean, you have to make certain revisions and deformations on the armor itself when applying it to the female form. So I think we had some iteration on that front. I think what was provided here that you're seeing is, I think, a nice blend on that fine line of practical but also appealing.
Do you want to also talk a little bit about the lighting? I think this kind of showcases a lot of that lighting and what we're working on towards that, and get to
Sure.
see a little bit of how that hits the armor and the reflection of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, lighting is a very integral part in how you are seeing different materials, reflect and or just look in general in the world. And there's a lot of different iterations that happen on the lighting front. Another component of that lighting is also taking into consideration that Ashes of Creation will experience different um, uh, time of days. So as you're kind of creating these materials on the models themselves, you're taking into account kind of what this gold is going to look like, at noon or at night, right? And there's a lot of iteration that's necessary from an art standpoint, not just on how the lighting of the level of the world exists, but also in how the assets look in that lighting. So, it takes a lot of juggling between environment, which usually holds the keys to the lighting front, and character, which is obviously holding the keys to the materials on these different armor sets. And I think, our teams have great communication and iterate well together. So that's how we kind of come up with this great piece of character art and modeling that you guys are seeing now. It's come a long way, obviously, if you guys have been paying attention over the past few years from where we were to where we are now, and it'll continue to move forward on that front. We have a very capable and very, very talented character team. Chris Atkins, who's leading our character team. We have Keith, we have Jinsey, We have Carson, and they're doing a really good job in bringing the world to life.
Yeah, it's been amazing to watch the progression. I mean, I've only been here for a year and a half, and I've gotten to see a lot of that progression as well. Um, but it's been neat. And I think one of the things that I've always loved seeing in character creators is being able to change the time of day because that gives you like an understanding of like, oh, what my character is going to look like whenever it's, morning versus nighttime, etc.
By the way, just want to apologize if I don't seem as sharp on the
He's tired.
on my wordings today. It's because this week was a very, very difficult week from a sleep perspective. So
I think
I think that's
most of
why.
us.
You've been on point, Stephen. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
you've been actually really great, Stephen. I think the average sleep time has been like 2 to 4 hours. People have been working their booties off to get things in a state that we're all happy in. But no one's working over the weekend other than Stephen live streaming, so we'll be taking a good restful weekend for those who are concerned. But yeah, get some sleep, Stephen. And Stephen's also not
I'll
drinking
watch you.
alcohol in that glass. Last time you were drinking
It's
out of that
alcohol.
glass, and people were like, "Is he just drinking wine?" I was like, "No,
No,
he's
no,
drinking
no. It's
water."
just water. My water's, I guess, too fancy.
I thought I would just call
a
that out.
Zima.
I should get a Dixie cup.
Why would you get a Dixie cup? Don't waste
I don't know.
paper.
Then they won't think I'm drinking.
Well, you could just use a normal glass. Do you only have wine glasses?
I see
Only.
someone asked if the stream will be on this. Yeah, the stream will be on this channel tomorrow at 1, and I think we're already going to post that
Yep.
messaging after the stream.
Yeah, after the stream is over, we'll post social posts, and we'll also be posting the 1 hour reminder and the we're live reminder as per usual. So, as long as you follow us at Ashes of Creation, actually right below me, follow us in all those places, we'll notify you whenever it goes live. So don't worry about that. Or you can hit that follow button right here on Twitch and click the little bell so you get notified. So I'm going to move on to the next piece here. So this is some armor that I don't know if we've seen this one specifically.
I think we've seen a version of it.
Yeah, we've
So
seen some.
this gives you a good comparison if you swap back and forth, right, about what I was just speaking with regards to the deformation of the armor to reflect the different body styles between the sexes. This is essentially the same set, right? But you're seeing the same set, on the different genders and kind of, how we achieve, I think, the appropriate look between practicality and appeal. So
Yeah, and seeing it in the like modeler versus like seeing it actually in game as well. And then we have this beautiful shield and the progress of the creation of it. And you can also see like the little de fleur on one side, and then on the other, it's like a little scally look or
yes,
like
France.
scallopy.
France is a country in Ashes of Creation.
It
I'm
just
just
kind of
kidding.
looks like a de fleur. I don't know. What would you call that if it's
No,
not?
it is. It's a fleur de lis. I
Yeah,
think,
fleur
or
de
something.
lis. There we go.
Si je parle
The old
seulement
Veloon word.
en peu français. But yeah, so this is again kind of giving an example of, I think that the different material and textures that can be swapped out on pieces to give them just a little bit of a different appearance. This is originally I think it's called the Shield of Reverence. I think originally from a geo standpoint, and then it just has these kind of swaps. And this might be something even in the future that we kind of give control over the players to augment visually the appearance of certain items, right? But yeah.
Cool. And I think this is the last one, kind of showing off more barding work on horses. Obviously, our horses are beautiful. They've been continually getting more progress on animations and things of that sort. I know there were people running around on a bunch of different mounts during our PI play test. But yeah, we're working towards all the different kinds of barding. I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about this one in particular.
Yeah, so this is an early, this would be essentially kind of an early silhouette of barding, right? Early level wise. So like, if you're getting barding for your horse, this might just be kind of the low level representation. Obviously, the armor for the horses and the mounts in general are going to try to take a similar approach that we do with the player character armor, where as the level of the gear increases that you get access to, so does the silhouette, overall. It increases with it to kind of represent, you know, in combination with the, flashier materials and better looking things kind of show that upper end gear. So too will the barding advance in that regard. So this would be, just to give you context, a lower level version. But yeah, I think the armors of mounts are, obviously, we've discussed this before, intended to have multiple components, pieces that can be equipped. And that enhances the stats, the hit points, the potentially the speed and um, the stats of the horse, the mount itself.
Yeah, and we've shown off different barding for different creatures like bears and other ones as well. So if you've been keeping your eye out, you've definitely been seeing a lot of different armor and barding for different creatures, not just horses. But a lot of people are commenting on how beefy this horse is. They're like, this horse has
Yeah,
worked out.
that's funny actually, because that was a kind of a last minute swap for this test yesterday. Last week, we had another version of the horse that was smaller, and it's still going to be present, right? There's going to be different sizes of these
Hmm.
mounts, different species of mounts and stuff. But this was a little bit beefier one. So we still have the smaller gelding kind of horse, but this one's more of a like war horse sort of presence, so it's much beefier.
My favorite ones though are still like I don't know if we've shown them all yet, but you can definitely go find them on our other game updates. We've shown a lot of different horses and a lot of different creatures in general, but um Jinsey did a really great job with some of the hair and the braiding in some of them, and I'm like, oh, I want one with like magical flowers braided into the hair. So pretty. To match my dwarf beard, of course.
Yeah.
Um,
And this is, I think this was Jinsey's work, by the way, both the horse model as well as the barding.
I'm such a hippie. Maybe, I don't know. I just like flowers, man. Nature's awesome. All right, moving on to our environment goodies. First things first most is, we have a lot of vendors and even players will be able to pop up little player stalls in the world. So the environment team has been working on a lot of cool things of this sort, and you're going to see a lot of different styles of these. We've shown off quite a few different ones in the past as well, and then also the cloth that's on them. I mean, I love how like this one specifically like drapes on these poles, which looks really beautiful, and the fact that we can like swap out those textures. So right now, you have this like white cloth with like red stripes, but they can always swap those out to be other things as well, which has been really neat seeing all the different customizations you can have with stalls as well.
Yeah, this is Adam Will, I believe, worked on these particular stalls, and yeah, the cloth looks good. I think there was maybe an old iteration of these particular stalls that he brought up to speed from a material and just, I guess, adjusting the model a bit. Obviously the key to cloth is folds, and you can see there's some added folds in some of these in the cloth. But I think the caravan one you're going to show next is really. I wish we had a before and after on the old caravan to what Adam Will brought it up to.
Oh
But
yeah, for real. It's
If
such a
someone
big
can
change.
toss it to me really fast, maybe I can show it. But or maybe we can show it on our next live stream if
yeah.
we remember to snag that and do like a
You need
quick
to show
before
them
and
in
after.
motion too,
Yeah.
because all the little doodads and chains and stuff are really cool.
Or
Um,
I'm certain someone from the community will end up doing it for us.
I saw No Fox Gaming or No Fox Given Gaming ask, will the cloth be static? So I assume you mean with regards to like simulating cloth physics. There's a lot of cloth that's in the game, particularly when it comes to armor and NPCs or players, where we have simulated cloth physics. Some of the building pieces will likely have more static looking cloth. For example, I believe this cloth does not have a simulated physics on it, but there'll be a blend of the two. To
Yeah,
answer
just
your
keep in
question.
mind that kind of stuff is really expensive, so we need to kind of pick and choose where we choose to put it.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
gonna say it's very
animate every
performance.
cloth.
That's more of a performance thing too. Is like if every piece of cloth is moving. It's much different when you're making like a single player game. Whenever you have an MMO with like hundreds of thousands of people on a server, it gets a little crazier, and especially if those
Hundreds
people
of
are all spread
thousands.
out.
Damn, we're gonna have some big castles users. No, I'm
Yeah.
just-
Well, hopefully. Um, Moving on to this caravan, which Stephen kind of talked a little bit about. This is a different style, and you can also see two different versions of this here. If you wanted to continue on that train of thought you were talking about before.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I wish we had a before and after. I mean, it's a completely different model, really. Looks
Yeah, I think
like,
it looks completely different.
but a lot of adjustments made here. I think it's a, great example. I think it really looked very good. It captures kind of that medieval fantasy presence, that we're traditionally used to seeing. The cloth looks great, with the additional folds that were added, and you can see some stylization that he put into, the beams that hold the cloth. We're not, 100% obviously, we're not on the far side of the realism spectrum. So I think it's cool to see that little bit of accent and character added to the piece.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're creating some, semi-fantasy world. I think it's fun. I like the idea of going into that stuff. Or Steven's explaining away stuff with magic. Anything else y'all want to talk about on this front? I like the little chair in the one version, like the upgraded version with like the cover on it, little window. Very cute.
Yeah.
And then we have
My
Waterfalls.
boy Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you had seen what our waterfalls looked previously compared to what they look now, it's just like night and day.
Don't judge
These
him
look
for
like
his
real
camera work
waterfalls.
either. He's no Tristan in regards to that.
But
Yeah.
Jim has upgraded our particle effects night and day, and he's starting to sort of attack the environment now, and just what he's able to do with making it more performant. What this looked like before was extremely expensive for the client to render, and now what he's got looks about 10 times better and is also way more efficient. So it was really great to see.
Yeah, and once
His
Adam
progress.
gets to do a pass on the audio for like making it, oh, it's gonna be so beautiful. I just want to stand there. And the interaction for players, like when you walk through it, that effect. Be cool to see that. Anything else you want to
Yeah.
add on that front, Stephen?
No, I mean, Jim is a very talented artist and, very technically minded as well. So when those two things come together from a single individual, it's always very beneficial for the project because, not only are they making things look nice, but they're also cognizant of performance. So that's a
Yeah.
good thing.
And he definitely does that. I think even when he was looking back at like some of the particle effects for the classes, he was like, hey, this is taking up way too much on performance. Let's, edit it down. I also really love if you like pay attention closely, you can see how some of the water is like splashing onto the side of that rock. Like that's cool. Seeing that type of like physics being
I see,
portrayed.
Notorious Soul asks in chat, will the release of UE5 have any impact on AOC? So
Oh, we have that in
just
our
to give you
Q&A.
guys, yeah, I know it's in our Q&A, but here we'll reach a larger audience, I think, than those who visit the Q&A. Oh, we have it in the Q&A. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No,
I'll
go
wait
for
to
it
answer
though.
that to the Q&A. No,
We
no,
can
it's
answer
okay.
it twice, man. Go for it.
All right, well, I'll just answer it now. Obviously, as a project in development, we're always keeping up to date as we can in moving forward with different engine upgrades and updates that are made. It's very beneficial for the project in general. With regards to the new Unreal Engine, it's obviously something that we take a look at. I mean, it's something that we're going to evaluate as we do with all new technology. Um, and when we have an answer kind of in the future for whether or not that's something we can possibly migrate the project towards, we'll let you guys know. Right now, there's no definitive answer on that front. We're still going to wait and see. It's a ways off before even a preview is available to developers from Epic. But it's very promising, what it looks like. I think it's a pretty cool, yet again, another cool thing out of Epic Unreal that they're working on. They're really, a benefit, a blessing to, I think, games and development in general with their commercial engine. So it's something we're watching.
Yeah. I mean, we've answered that question before in the past. So we've definitely continually said when it comes to new tech, when ray tracing came out, people were asking us about that. We're on it, man. We're definitely checking out all of those things, seeing how we would like to incorporate those and whether we should or not, especially at different development phases. So we're keeping an eye on it. We have one more everything, I think. Oh, actually, I think that's it for this. So we can move into the Q&A.
Well, before we get into Q&A, by the way, I want to
Hmm.
mention something. So, what you guys see here is very visual. These updates, you see from our amazing character team or our awesome environment team, the animations that, you guys have been watching that, are getting iterated upon, our amazing concept artists. All of those things are designers who implement, these systems and mechanics in the game that you get to experience. They're all very, very, very talented developers, and I've obviously just been so impressed with the accomplishments that the Intrepid team has been able to yield. But I want to take the time to kind of point out something specific. There in the background, you don't often get to see lines of code. You don't get to see, the nitty gritty of really what makes all of these things possible. The backbone of any project really is the engineering team. So we have an unbelievable engineering team who have put a lot of time and extra hours into making sure that our servers are standing up, our login and patcher process is getting better, our optimization between the communication networking from the player's client to the server is tip top shape.
Our customer
um,
service tools.
our customer service tools, a database, everything that makes a game in the background. The engineering team has been amazing with, even on the UI front. You see amazing UI art, but a UI engineer like amazing Grat Crabtree, um, he as a programmer he implements that art and makes it usable and functionable from a UI standpoint. So big kudos to the engineering team, Kevin McPherson and Mark Storch, who are our leads. They do a great job, and everybody else on that team. So well done to them.
I was actually saying yesterday how
Get
I
some sleep,
feel.
guys.
Yeah, get some sleep.
I feel like a
Uh,
mama bear. Like I just feel so proud of everybody, and I try to like write little posts for people to just thank them for how much amazing work they've been doing. But I think a lot of people want to see all these systems and things of that sort on these live streams, and we've talked about it in the past. But I think people don't realize that, like what you said, Stephen, that the stuff that we're showing you on the art front has a ton of programming stuff and design things that are on
oh
the
yeah.
back end of it.
Yeah, not only to mention that, aside even from the engineering team, another group of individuals who you don't see often in games but are very, very there because of the bugs that you didn't find is our QA team. So,
Yeah, for real.
Sean Ferens and Ryan Findall have done a great job in staying up late and catching these, midnight builds. Just a couple nights ago, to give you guys a heads up, how we kind of approach these types of milestones, especially from a testing perspective. We were up until I think 4 a.m. on Wednesday. Some of the engineers, myself, and the QA team, waiting for certain change lists that kind of take out critical bugs before these test periods, and kicking off those builds and waiting for that package build to cook and be deployed. That's a process, and our QA guys are really great in sticking through, checking all those things and smoke testing it and running, a sanity check on these builds before they get out.
Yeah, and everyone on our team is so passionate that like you have people from community, even like Toast and I like hang out. We wait until the builds to help test too. So I think, when you work in certain companies that not everyone's on board with that. You just have your QA team that does it. But I think for us too, I think everyone kind of like works together and tries their best to help each other and try to figure out solutions for things. So
For sure.
yeah, huge shout out to everybody, like our entire team. I'm just so proud of them. Like I could cry. But let's get through these questions. We'll do our best. We're definitely going to go over time because we've got like about 14 of them. And if I see stuff that is follow-up stuff in the Twitch chat, we'll try to get to them if we can. So our first one here is Magic Man from the forum saying, can you elaborate more on how you plan to prevent one-shotting in Ashes of Creation?
Well, I think obviously a very important aspect of design is balancing and creating, I think, what are I think when you hand a designer, and Jeff, you probably want to speak to this, but when you hand a designer kind of the goal and say, like, here's what we want our average time to kill to be between this class and this class, or this role and this role, right? They take that in mind. That's their overarching, objective. And then they kind of get into the nitty gritty of how stats affect, combat bonuses, how the baseline attack power on a specific weapon yields against a skill usage, right? Like, all of those things are kind of the nitty gritty and what makes ultimately the intended goal of time to kill, right? Specifically for that one shot question. So there's a lot of iteration that happens on that front. You kind of get a finger in the wind approach on an Excel sheet, and then you implement it into the engine. You get a test on it, and then you take a look. Hey, did this perform like the spreadsheet said it was going to, or did it not? And what bugs were implemented? What changes do I need to make? That's kind of the process that happens on a balancing side. And obviously, a lot of the balancing can't be done. You're not going to see balance really in these early tests, or even in, you're going to see a stab at balance when Alpha 1 comes. But, part of that testing is to give that live feedback and allow iteration to occur after those metrics are taken.
Yeah, I mean, it's Ashes of Creation is a very complex game, and we're giving a lot of power to players in terms of what they gear, how they gear, what build they build, what kind of skills they spec into. So there's a lot of freedom on the part of the player, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are some situations that end up where somebody is severely geared, have gone completely glass cannon, and have kind of built their character in such a way to allow
one shot me.
Right, exactly. So like, we won't be able to cover all of those bases, but like Steven said, like, there's going to be a big effort on our side to prevent that or to corral that. But
right,
because of the freedom that players will have in this game, one shots are probably a possibility.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially if you have like a group, right? You have like 10 people versus one.
Well, that's not a one shot though.
That's like a 10 shot.
That's a 10 shot. But specifically, I think Jeff gave a great scenario because there's such flexibility and customizability that's present on the character's end. They could spec themselves out in such a way that just screams one shot me.
Gotcha. All right, our next question is from Karthos on the forums. What is a feature you're excited by that no one has asked about yet?
That no one has asked about. That's a very specific caveat. I don't think I could probably achieve. I think we've answered so many questions over the past few years that almost every part of this game has been touched.
That's true.
At least.
We don't have anything in our pocket that we're saving.
I know.
Yeah, and we've also announced all of the main things that everyone's going to experience.
Yeah. That's
trying to think of
answer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something specifically that no one has asked about.
Yeah, no. There's no. I mean, there's specifics and granularity that we haven't touched yet.
Yeah, maybe let's change the question a bit to be what is a feature that you're just excited about, like something that you are excited to work on that maybe we've talked about in the past or not.
That's tough too. I don't know.
You like too many things?
Specific thing I like. I don't know. Maybe the naval system is, I'm particularly excited about because, there have been other games where I've had naval experiences that I thought were great fun and provided a very different dynamic and feel to what traditionally MMOs have been all land kind of based. And I think that's a cool, side of the game.
Like, I guess maybe the crafting system, gathering system, right? I think it's going to harken back to kind of like a different period in the crafting genre, and I think that people are going to dig it. It's certainly a system that I'm excited to play, and I don't normally get excited about crafting, so I think that's cool to me. Not something I've really talked about.
Yeah. I'm excited to see all the variety in classes. I'm the type of person who will level up every class to the max level in various race and gender options so that I can pick and choose what I feel is best or what's best at that current moment in the meta. So I think for me, like, I'm excited for that and gearing up those characters. One of my favorite things in MMOs is, the experience of raiding and being with my guild and doing things as a group. I think for me, those features, the features that bring us together as a group and kind of us in a place where we want to log in every day and see each other and play with each other and meeting new people. I think for me, that's what makes an MMO. Let's move on to our next question. We actually have two people who have asked this question. We had Jalon and Draco Callan who asked, and I apologize in advance if I ever pronounce anyone's names wrong. How do you craft in a node when a siege has been declared if all your gatherables are locked in storage?
So, the gatherables and materials that are utilized to craft specific siege equipment, the siege equipment crafting stations are within a node. And when you access the crafting bench for those particular types of vehicles, you are able to access from that crafting station the depository you have within the actual city.
Sorry, my cat's just yelling in the background.
Oh, that's okay. He's probably excited about the siege.
Yeah, exactly. The cat's very excited about the siege. And Karthos said that we did answer the question better than they could have expected. So they were happy with our answer. All right. Did you want to add anything else to that, Jeff?
No, I mean, that's pretty much the answer.
Cool. Our next question is from Pacha. And Pacha wants to know, will we be able to use /ME or something similar in chat for text emotes /roleplay? So in a lot of games, you can kind of like write whatever you want by doing /ME and then whatever the text is.
Yeah.
Like, I dance, etc.
That's something we discussed in the past. Wasn't that like a stretch, or not a stretch goal, but wasn't that like a backer reward?
Oh, we had emojis.
Emojis.
Yeah, but we're gonna have a whole emote system, so I would say it's pretty
likely.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I can't actually get him. Y'all want to see him, but like the cat is like in the other room and he's just yelling in the other room. I have a different cat I can bring in the camera. So our next question here is from Sunfrog saying, will the NPCs befriend you and give you stuff? Oh, some Animal Crossing stuff in here.
So probably not as you are thinking in that sense. There's definitely reputations that are housed within specific societies and organizations, and those types of your achievements within that quest path and organization will yield unique narratives, unique access to goods, unique store accesses, but not probably in what you're thinking is the traditional way that a reputation slash reward system would look like.
Awesome. And then we have McShire, or McShire. There we go. So far, it appears most abilities use ground visuals or animations to represent cast time. Will that be the standard, or will we eventually see traditional casting bars as well?
Yeah, you're going to see, I think, casting bars get implemented a little later in the march towards Alpha 1. Obviously that's an important visual indicator of timing for you so that you can plan next moves. Also, it's important to note, like, as you see some of the animation speeds of these skills and attacks, you're seeing it from the perspective of a low level character. And there are support abilities that will be implemented from a role slash class standpoint that have the ability to augment those types of cast times. So what you're going to see later in game as you get higher level are much, I think, quicker paced skills. I like Kalen TV said Acumen baby. That's a great, yeah. In Lineage 2, they had Acumen and Berserker for cast times, as well as I think they had a Blade Dancer dance too. But yeah, that's a great kind of comparison, I think, to kind of understanding where base cast times exist and where supported cast times will end up.
Perfect. And then our next question is from Leon, or Lion, and they want to know who is currently the most skilled Ashes of Creation player in the company. It's an interesting question.
Oof, I don't know.
We haven't really
Uh,
like done a competitive
yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah, it's not really.
I would like to say that hopefully it's QA because they've
Oh
had the
yeah.
most time to play the
Oh yeah, that's
games.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on, what you're talking about from a skill standpoint. If you're talking about like overall broad knowledge base, because an MMO is the power's in the knowledge. I would say probably is going to be QA, and that's because QA has to remain vigilant over every aspect of development when they're smoke testing builds, right? So they kind of touch everything, whereas other developers are more fine-tuned to their specific field of work. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's a bad question though. I don't like.
I don't either. I don't like this. I don't like questions that make us compete against each other either. I think it's, everyone's working hard and doing their thing. And I think also for me, obviously I'm a competitive player, so I like being really good at what I do. But I think that also I don't like demoralizing other players just because they play differently. Because I think we want everyone to be able to play an MMO and have fun in their own way. That's my take on it. Cheshire, different one, it has a Z in it. And George Black had a question regarding: is there a plan to include your weapon in skill and cast animations rather than the character only using it in the basic attack/combo?
So it depends on the skill in question. There are absolutely skills that currently keep your weapon out, such as a lot of the tank abilities are, utilizing certain weapon instruments. The difficulty, though, is we can't always predict what weapon the player is going to use. So a lot of times, that is safeguarded against when we, especially at least I think on the magical cast animation stuff that's more inherited probably by mages and stuff or clerics and whatnot, is spells. I don't know if you're familiar with like D&D and Pathfinder. Spells oftentimes have a somatic component, which is like the movement of hands and the ritual of incantation, right? And from a lore slash story perspective into why cast animations don't include the weapons and whatnot, it's the caster is trying to focus on manifesting the essence to create the type of magic he wants it to or she wants it to. So that would be the story behind that. But then, from a purely technical standpoint, it's sometimes difficult to predict what weapon the caster is going to have equipped, and then
Yeah,
make
and
the animation fit all
Yeah.
of those
yeah, I
weapons.
was just gonna say the animation is where it's really at because think about you have like 64 classes, you have a bunch of abilities per class, and then you also have any class can use any like weapon, so you have to think about how many animations that equals. That's a lot of work, and I know the design team and animation team have been working out how they want to solve that. And I don't know if you want to talk further about that, Jeff, or you think Stephen covered the basics of
No,
that.
I was just gonna say what you said, Maggie. It's like that multiplies and turns into a gigantic number. And if we want to do things like add a weapon, a new type of weapon later on down the road, then we have to reauthor all of those animations to account for that weapon. We have weapon classes, and weapons can share animations between those classes. But at the end of the day, right, using a spear is very different than using a staff, which is very different from using a one-handed sword. So those animations need to capture those differences. And it's just not feasible to kind of do that across all abilities, across all classes, across all race types. So it's one of those things that we've decided to do to sort of keep our scope sane and to get this thing released eventually.
Yeah. Our next question is from Unknown System Error, which I always love that name. Will stack limits be based on weight or volume for inventory management?
Stack limits. There's not.
It's probably gameplay more than anything else.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it depends on what types of stacks we're talking about. Like if it's material and gatherable stacks, there is obviously a quantity limit that's not based on weight that the player will have available to them before they need to utilize the transportation efforts of a mule or a caravan. That's a pretty integral component into the economic systems. But from a general item, stacking like potions and stuff like that, I would say that that is a single stack is going to have a quantity limit probably, and those quantity limits are going to be based on the item per se. So the stacking limit of a potion might be 100, but the stacking limit of
Some
of a
food.
food or something, right, might be 1,000 or
Mhm.
999 or whatever.
I have 999 muffins in my pockets.
There you
I
go.
wish.
Okay.
That's why you have a
um,
bag of holding.
Ooh, yes. Our next question is from Ravuda, and they want to know, can naval caravans only be summoned at a port/harbor like other ships, or are they an exception to that rule? And there's a good question for you, Stephen. You want
So
to talk about navals?
the naval caravans are an exception to that rule. They, at the point in which your character model intersects with an ocean, it will spawn a conversion mesh, or excuse me, a conversion structure, and there will be a period of time, up to several minutes, depending on the capacity of the caravan with the resources and or materials that is necessary for the conversion to take place, and then the naval caravan will be available, and you can intersect that line again with land to try to convert back to a land-based caravan.
All right. And our next question is Jamation wants to know, what has been the most
Yeah.
challenging part of working from home during this time?
Just to give, by the way, a follow up there, Carthos said, "Can you
Yes.
attack the caravan while the structure is up?" Yes, the structure becomes the attackable point, and there is a danger during that transition. Normally the caravan would benefit either on the naval side or on the land side. It would benefit from those upgraded components. However, when you're a structure, you are much more exposed. So you do not get the benefits of the added damage mitigation or the additional hit points. That is it's a very weak position to be in.
All right. I'll ask the question again, which is, what has been the most challenging part of working from home during this time?
For me, uh, I like to walk around and chat with people and take a look at what they're working on, and just be able to talk kind of in person and point to things on their screen, and that kind of thing, and not being able to do that is very, 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 very difficult.
My toddler. She's a very, very awesome, very amazing little girl, but she is also very demanding, and she wants things her way when she wants them. Very toddler behavior. So it can be tough sometimes to concentrate on what I'm doing.
Yeah. How old is she now? Are you hitting the terrible twos?
She's 2.5, and they're not
Yeah.
terrible. She's just she doesn't quite know what's right and what's wrong yet. So
Yeah. I think from my perspective, I'm similar to Stephen in regards to that. I think a lot of communication can be done through, facial expressions and, being there in person and being able to explain stuff and draw things out. And obviously, we found ways around that through virtual means, but it's just not the same as being able to like communicate with somebody in person. And I think, I'm in the same boat as well, where like walking around and seeing something cool that someone's working on and being like, hey, can we make that into something, has been really rough. Because I think from my perspective, I love making little creation videos for you all and things of that sort. And a lot of that is, me kind of telling people, hey, you need to record your process so that I can create these things. And right now we're just trying to like work as quickly as we can and understanding people and being very understanding of people's personal lives, like Jeff having a child and being like, hey, I got to step away for a couple hours because kids going crazy. Just being understanding of those things and trying to work around people's schedules in general, to accommodate for them, and still
I
get
will
stuff
say
done.
one of the benefits though of working from home is being able to spend time with the dogs, because I always feel terrible when I'm out the
me
door super
too.
super
Oh,
early and then get back super late, and the dogs are just looking like you've been gone all day, every day, all week.
do they stand like right in the door? Because our cats, like, they're
Oh
just
yeah.
right in the doorway, and you're like trying to open the door, and you don't want to hit them. You're like, hey, back up.
Yep. Oh yeah. You gotta always be careful when you open the door, because Riley usually lays right in front of it.
Oh, it's because they miss you. And if you have cameras, like, you can see them just laying there waiting. It's so sad.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
worried about what they do when we go back to work.
Jeff's got mischievous pets. Meanwhile, Steven and I's pets are just laying next to the door, like, come home. Our next question here is from Soul123 that says, will there be any best in slot weapons or armor for specific types of monsters? And I feel like we might have talked about this in the past, but maybe not
I think
specifically.
that's two questions. So, one, will there be best in slot items in general? And then two, are specific weapons and or armors better catered towards specific types of monsters? So, the first question is, will there be best in slot items? I think there will. Yes, there will be best in slot items. And what determines, I think, their best in slot scenario is based off of the customization and role you want your class to achieve, because there is some autonomy between your skill tree choices and your augment choices. Those kind of allow you to flirt the line with what maybe the traditional role of the archetype is. And then based on those decisions, certain items will, be considered best in slot for those types of agendas. And then the second part of that question, um, how will items interact, I think, with specific monster types. Monster types will have weaknesses and strengths. And because of that, that type of setup, there are going to be areas where you can hunt that might be better suited for your particular class. So, if you're a cleric and you're using this kind of radiant energy descriptor on your abilities, you might be better suited for an undead or certain type of area because you will have an added effect against the weakness of those types of creatures.
The dogs were very interested in what you were saying, Steven. They were standing pretty still in Jeff's camera, looking our direction. Did you want to add anything else to that, Jeff?
No, I just again, there certainly I don't think we can get away with not having best in slot stuff just because we're a stat-based game, and if you have higher stats, that's better for you. But what that means will be different for different classes and different builds. So it will be best in slot for, like Steven said, your particular character.
And, we'll constantly be adding more equipment, more monsters, more stuff into the game, so you'll constantly be going for a new chase, right? Our next question is from Ant Victus, and they want to know, after all the recent leaks and seeing the overall reaction, how does it feel for you to see all your soon-to-be players excited? I think we've talked about this in the beginning a bit, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
it definitely it feels very amazing, and I think I've said this often in the past that our motivation, not only is exists within our own personal desires to see, this type of game be made because it hasn't in the past, and we feel that it should and it will resonate with players, but really the driving force behind our gung-ho-ness to get things done, motivated to ship this game, is is predicated entirely on the reception of you as our community. I mean, your excitement fuels our excitement. So it's always great, and we have to, there is a fine line we have to walk between how much we show. I mean, it is a competitive market. There are other games that are out there, and we want to share just enough to kind of give you guys the progress update, and we want to answer questions on systems and designs so that we can get feedback. But at the same time, we have to be cognizant of the fact that it is a competitive market, and we are a
And other
company,
people are watching us.
and other people are watching us. So you have to take, I think, that with a little bit of grain of salt. It's definitely, I will say, in the process of the years we've conducted this development thus far, it's difficult to see certain things said. Obviously, it can be demotivating. It can be a little upsetting to kind of have to understand that there's a bridge, a divide between players and developers in the course of actions that we choose to take because we feel it's good for the product or the direction of our goals in making sure that we release a stable slash attractive game. And we take obviously that type of negative response with a grain of salt, but it's very uplifting when we see events like yesterday, and we get the feedback and excitement from the players for sure.
Did you want to say your side of it, Jeff?
Oh, I thought I did when I said it was awesome.
Oh, okay. I mean, you can keep it there. I just didn't know if you wanted to add anything.
No, I mean it's again it's a fulfillment of it's validation for what we've created and what we've decided to do. 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, um, it's this is the fruition of that, or at least a part of that fruition. And like Steven said, like the negativity can I don't know, hurts a little bit, but like
Get to you.
then we prove it, right? We're like, okay, people are saying these things. All we need to do is just put out a good product, and they'll stop saying those things. And that's kind of proved out by what we've
for
done,
sure.
right? It's we put it out in front of people like it, and it's like, okay, see, we told you we were going to get
And,
here. Just take us a little while.
from the
I've
community
always long held that
perspective,
opinion.
we're very used to seeing this kind of stuff, so we get to see all the negative and we get to see the positive comments all the time. So I think for us, we've kind of grown a thick skin in that regard. But there are moments where it gets kind of frustrating, especially when it's stuff we can't talk about. I think is probably the hardest part on my
Yeah, for
front,
sure.
is when it's like, I want to be able to answer that person's question, but I just can't because it's just not the right time.
Why do you think I leak sometimes? That's the dam of decision like that exists on the flow of information for me. Sometimes just little waterfalls over. You know what I mean? Like, I know
can't do
the dam is
that,
there
though,
to tell
Steven.
me. The dam is there to tell me that the dam is really for me is I see like Margaret's face on it. Like, don't do that, Stephen. Stephen, stop it.
I'm the little one on the shoulder being like, don't do it, Stephen, don't do it. And my thing is, it's not that I don't want to leak things or showcase things. I just want to be able to showcase things in a way that hits all the people. I think whenever we share something that's like specific to Discord, or we only share it to a small group of people, sometimes it can have an effect from the community perspective that I know, because I'm like, hey, I experienced this in the past, is like we need to be able to share that information widely in order to be able to hit a lot of people. And then also, not only that, it's the quality that you're putting out, right? Like when you're certain things get put out, maybe they don't have a watermark that they should have, and now someone else can take that asset and be like, this is for our game. And so there's just like more of the thing on my end. I go through like a whole different train of thought because I have like a different mindset when I'm looking at it. But in regards to this question specifically, I think being able to see people's reaction and having them be very welcoming of what we create has been amazing. I think one of the most beautiful things in any industry, whether you're working in games industry or any other creative industry, when you create something, having people see that creation and enjoy it is one of the most truly beautiful things that you can experience. I feel like everyone can
sure.
agree with that, right? And it does hurt if someone doesn't like it. No matter, even if you have like one comment that doesn't like it and 3,000 people who love it, and you still focus on that one person, you're like, how could I make that one person like it? And so I think I can totally see the perspective of that as well. All right, moving on to our next question here, which is from Zeplar. They want to know, will there be airship travel between two scientific metropoli if one is in the Underrealm? So we have
Yes. So there will be. I mean, obviously, even though a city exists within the Underrealm, you can see this even in the current alpha island that we're testing in. There's large, expansive entrances that exist. So the route of the airship will just utilize those, and there may also even be, not necessarily even entrances, but that normal players can take, but they're large kind of overhead openings that might exist that the airship will be able to enter through. And if there isn't, then the airship will just convert into an underground, like tremor monster that you live inside, and
It'll just be a giant worm.
a
Oh,
giant worm that just burrows into the ground. I'm just
that
kidding.
would be so cool. I would actually be down for that, like a worm bus, like you'd sit inside a little worm. That'd be adorable and weird, and I love it. I'm into it. It's almost like Gimli stuff. I'm into it.
Yeah.
The cat bus? Okay, sorry. Our next question is from Blake. Will the demonic, angelic, fire, and ice skins be based on the race the character is, or will they have their own unique look specific from the playable races? Will Avec and Kalar with the angel skin applied look the same or different?
So that's a racial skin. There's only two racial skins we released, which was the angel and the fire and the ice one, which means essentially, from a visual perspective, you're changing your race over to that, um, which means that you won't look uniquely different if you were a Vec, angel or a human angel.
Yeah, it's a full transmutation.
Yeah.
All right. And then we have Dimitri from our Russian community who wants to know, will we be able to manually change our primary stats, strength, dex, etc., during the game or only at character creation and then modified with gear?
So you can modify stats with gear. You can directly change the base stat with certain type of alchemical permanency, potions and or tattoos. And you are also able to allocate skill points as you level, and that allocation allotment that's granted. Actually, no, wait, we removed the allocation thing, didn't we? Did
Yeah,
we
we
remove
did.
the allocation? Okay, sorry. My mind had a small stroke back to 2015 or 16.
It's
It's okay.
okay.
Uh, no, you won't be able to manually change. There's a stat progression now, I think we're using, right, from a racial
Yeah, on a
perspective
per
and
race
class.
class. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So stat progression on race and class is static, and then you have the ability to augment your base stat values with those alchemical permanencies that are available.
There we go.
But
And
those are give and takes. So if you're going to boost a particular stat, you're going to have to draw from another.
right. And then our last and final question here is from Anatoly, and they would like to, this is another one of our Russian community members would like to know, will you use geodata to calculate damage or interactions with enemies, such as pushing an enemy from a cliff? This is
that like
ashes
for
of
fall
creation and kick them down the hill. Just kidding.
Will there be fall damage? There will be fall damage, yes. Um,
And we'll also
Yeah, I guess
have
that's kind of basically what they're
environmental
asking, right? Is if there's fall
effects
damage.
too,
right.
right? So if you're in an area that is like has a magical storm, like certain abilities will have different effects, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think some of our testers yesterday saw little surprise there. They wandered too close, I think, to an ancient head that was in the world, and there was some water around it that instantly killed them. Um, they didn't have the inoculating uh, resistance.
Sorry, guys.
All right. And I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. We answered a lot of questions. We answered more than 10, but we hope that you liked that we added a few extra ones in there. We have a whole bunch of stuff that's coming along the lines, so definitely stay tuned. We'll have more things coming next month. It is crazy. We're already in June. Like, we're moving into June. So we'll have another June development update. We hope you tune in. We'll let you know whenever that is live. Of course, follow us on all of the places over here at Ashes of Creation. We like to post a lot of our updates on Twitter and Facebook. We'll have this video up on YouTube as well. And if you're watching here on Twitch, it'll be up as soon as we're done. And then I think we might put the housing video as a separate video as well. If Stephen, if you're cool with that.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Just let me write the description on it then before we post it. But yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, toss me
Otherwise,
a
I already
description
get
if you
context.
want to edit
Yeah.
that. And then we also have quite a few other things that are coming down the line. We keep our Instagram pretty updated. If you want to go check out our Instagram over on Ashes of Creation, we've been putting stuff on our stories on Instagram, Twitter, or Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. So we're everywhere. We're Ashes of Creation. We're taking over the internet. So definitely come hang out with us and see all the little sneak peeks we put out. And don't forget, put it up here on the screen again for you all. Tomorrow we'll be streaming for 1 hour. We'll have a 1 hour gameplay stream happening from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. PDT. So definitely come tune in. It'll be right here on twitch.tv/Ashes of Creation. And we also have our monthly cosmetics. They are continuing to stay up. Those are from March. We'll keep them. We'll let you know whenever the next ones swap over. Right now, we're going to keep them up for the foreseeable future as we know people are having certain circumstances where, we don't want them to miss out on any cosmetics just because of the situation that we're in due to COVID. And we have a new dev discussion, so definitely keep your eye out for the new dev discussion coming in June. It's a good one. They're always so good. Jeff did a good job of putting together questions that his team really, really wants answers for. So I think that's all I got. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Stephen. I don't know if you want to add anything else in there.
Thanks,
See
you guys. We love you.
We love you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yep, we'll see you tomorrow for a live stream. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.